This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the Week in Review. It is Sunday, November 16th, 2025, as we are going to go through a lot tonight because, as you know, or as you may have seen from the title and description of this episode, we have an in-person perspective from yours truly from SmackDown, from Albany and the MVP Arena, attending there live on Friday night. Some thoughts, good and bad, as you could imagine, things that maybe you didn't see on the program itself, and some kind of just general thoughts about the audience, general kind of demographic information that I saw as far as the eye could see anyway, how full the arena was in comparison to what you saw on TV or what they made it look like on TV. We'll go through all that in short order, but I want to first welcome you to the show and also say that if you want to go ad-free, it's a good time to do it. Patreon.com/WWE podcast, or you can just search the ad-free feed, which is all over Spotify and on Apple as well. Just click the subscribe button and go ad-free. There's a 1-week free trial right now, so check us out if you want to get rid of these ads you're hearing, because there's a lot of them. And as I warned, getting into the holiday season, there's going to be more of them. So get rid of them by going ad-free. Now, let's talk about it, because I got there, I would say 15 minutes before 8 o'clock. I know that they're taping, main event before the show. So I didn't really see much beforehand. I know Eric Rowan was in competition, but it was very quick in terms of what I saw there. But I pretty much got there with 15 minutes to spare until they went live on USA with SmackDown. And I'll just say I'm glad I did not attend SmackDown after the new year, because as you know, SmackDown is going to be going back to 3 hours. And I have no interest in that. 3 hours is just too long for a show. I don't mind it once a month for a PLE, but I don't know how it's a good experience for the viewer. I understand it's more revenue because they have more ad spots to fill for sponsors. I get that part of it. But boy, the downside of it is, as a viewer, it's just brutal. 2 hours is a perfect time for a wrestling show. But I get there a little bit early. And no problems getting in. It seems like most people were getting there much earlier because I had no wait, no line, nothing. Just kind of got to my seats. I had my son with me for the first time ever. He was in attendance for a wrestling event, so he didn't know what to expect. The downside for him was he was excited, but he had also gotten up at 2 a.m. He got up at 2 a.m., and that means he got up 4 hours earlier than he normally would. And he was going to go to bed about 3 hours late. So already he's like, 6 hours, 7 hours behind the 8 ball on sleep. So I knew that wasn't going to bode well for me when it came to how long I was going to be there. But we lasted as long as we could. Now I'll get to that in a minute. But I was lower level, and the arena, I will say, was pretty full. It was definitely not a sellout. From what I understand, it was about 9,000 tickets. I believe it. 9,000 is probably a fair estimate. And a lot of the upper deck was sold. People in the seats. They had their tarped off sections. And again, it was not a sellout. But it was good attendance, better than I expected Albany to be. So I thought we were lively. We'll talk about the individual segments in which we were lively, in which I didn't think we were, and how it came across on TV. I haven't watched it back, but I thought overall we were decent in terms of a standard from a United States perspective. If you're overseas and you watch SmackDown, I mean, this is just another one of your pathetic United States cities that, by your expectations, should be just loud and chanting crap the entire time with a decibel level above 120. I know that that's the expectation if you're overseas. I don't prefer that. I know that our crowds can be a little bit subdued, but so we'll get into the specifics of that as well. But some general demographics, I'll say that as I interview myself, it was there were families, but for the most part, it was a kind of couples slash, you definitely had the male demographic there. You had the young male demographic. You had the young female demographic. When I say young, I'm talking like maybe 15 to 30. You had some of those women there. Again, not a lot of kids, definitely some, obviously including my own. But it was a mix, but leaned older than what I'm used to seeing. So I don't know what that really tells you, but it is a little bit older than what I remember. And when I got there, and this is, everybody has their own personal perspective and seating and who they sit next to. It's out of your control, and it's a crapshoot. I have not had great luck lately with every time I attend an event in Albany, I'm sitting next to just, and I'll just know other way to put it, just trash people. I call it what it is. They're just trash, right? You all know who they are. Now, I'm not talking about color of skin, just the person. I don't really, that's what I'm talking about. You can just tell the quality of the person is just very low. Okay. And this unfortunately was no different. I sat next to a guy originally who is probably, and I don't want to say he's a trash person. Okay. But not somebody, how about this? Not somebody for a wrestling event you want to sit next to. Okay. So this was the first experience. He was, I don't know, maybe 65. He was older, and he's sitting there, overweight guy, but and he's sitting there with a box of fried dough or donuts, powdered, the powder was all over the floor. It was all over his stomach. He was taking up half of my seat that I was trying to get in. And I mean, he was just a slob. Look, that's just the way it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. No pun intended. And so luckily we were able to move over a seat because the seat at the very end of the aisle was not taken. So we were able to move over and let, Captain Donut have his food. And I was like, oh, great, cool. We lucked out. We'll move over. And then the people behind us, I mean, the guy behind me was tapping my chair. I don't know if he thought I couldn't feel it, but he was just tapping my chair in some kind of like nervous tick for 45 minutes. And I eventually just leaned back on my chair, like, and his hand was there. I'm like, dude, like, what? Like, use your brain. I mean, some people just leave their brains at home or don't have them to begin with. And everything was a stupid comment about something that they clearly had no idea what they were talking about with wrestling. Oh, that move was, oh my God, this match is boring. Let me give you a perfect example. You think I'm just speaking in general terms, right? There was a match during the show, and I think it was the Dragunov match. And for 80% of it, he was talking about how boring it was. There's no intensity. This needs to speed up. I mean, seriously, it was constant commentary. Some people don't know how to keep thoughts in their brain. Just every thought that comes to them, they have to verbalize. I never understand that. But that's what it was. It was just constant commentary from this, like, probably under room temperature IQ person. And, then there was like a big move. I forget what a move happened during the Dragunov match. It was some DDT spot or something. And then he starts chanting, "This is awesome." Right. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, one move makes the match awesome. That's all it takes for you. I mean, he turned everything on a dime with one move, and then like the match was over. And he's like the most fickle, just nightmare fan you'd ever want. He is the stereotypical wrestling fan that people think about that are not wrestling fans, think about wrestling fans and what they're like. That's that guy, and probably the rest of the people behind me that were with him. So it was not a good experience from just a very localized perspective. I will say too, I don't miss going to wrestling events that are just, I just don't. I understand the energy. It's fun. I get it. Even with my son, it was fun for him. And if he wants to continue to go, I'll certainly do it for him. But even though I do this show, even though obviously I love wrestling, I think I love wrestling from my living room perspective, because I cannot deal with people and just their stupidity and their lack of just common courtesy, common sense. I have my kid with me and they're dropping F-bombs, and look, like, I get it. You can say whatever you want. And like, I understand that, but sometimes you just have to override your incessant need to make sure that you can say whatever you want and realize, hey, there's young kids around, right? Like that kind of stuff. But my son had fun, he did. And Jey Uso was by far his favorite. And that kind of made me, I had mixed feelings on that. We'll talk about that again in a minute when I get into specifics on the show. Giving you my overall monologue about my experience. But I will say, and this may, I don't know how you guys are going to take this. I really don't. I still love wrestling, and I want to preface what I'm about to say with this because it's important. I still love wrestling. I always will. It's been a part of my life since I was, what's the math here? 13, no, 4, what the heck? 1997, so I was 12, 12, 13. So it's been a long time, nearly 30 years that I've been a wrestling fan. In some form or fashion, it's been a part of my life, big part in a lot of areas. And I will continue to be. This show is going to continue to be a part of my life as well. But I will say, I came away from this show, and this has been something I've kind of thought about for a while after coming away from events. And this may be just an Albany thing. It may be just a me thing. I have been like embarrassed to be there for some of the time. And look, I understand why people go. I will still go to big events. Like I would go to like a WrestleMania. I would go to like a big show, but I don't even think I'd go to a Raw or SmackDown unless something big is happening. Simply for the fact that I think I'm surrounding myself with fans that are Albany is the stereotypical wrestling fan for most of it. I look around and I can just kind of tell what it is. And I'm not saying everybody's trash. Okay. I'm not saying that. My localized area, it certainly was not a great experience. And I'm sure there's some great people and all that stuff. So if somebody's saying, oh, he thinks he's better, I'm not thinking I'm better. It wasn't the kind of people I would ever associate with outside of wrestling. So we all come together for this love of wrestling, but I also would not ever hang out with many of these people because I came away embarrassed. And I don't know how to say it. I don't know. So, that's kind of a weird take, I know, but I felt myself kind of like I wasn't really participating. I'm looking at these other grown-ups reacting to these things and acting like children, and sure, it's the love of the sport and all that. And maybe a part of me is kind of growing out of it and thinking to myself like, yo, you could be talking about a lot of other things. And I do have passions outside of wrestling, but I think for now I'm done going to live events unless I see, unless my son wants to go, of course I'll go. I'm not trying to take anybody else or not encourage anybody else to go to these events. I know a lot of the listeners and emailers do go to the events, and I hope you have a great time. It's almost as if a part of me, to just call it, has kind of grown out of it. I don't mind watching it on TV. Still will talk about it, commentate, give passionate thoughts and takes and all that kind of thing. But the live experience for me has really changed. It's not as enjoyable as it used to be. And the fact I felt embarrassed for a good part of the time, and I can't even react to some of the things. Again, it could be just my own things, but anyway, let's move on. It's getting a little bit off track, but so let's talk about SmackDown. All right, let's talk about SmackDown. I'm sure that take may, you'd be like, oh, what are you talking about? You think you're better than ever? No, it's just for me, I think part of me has grown out of the live experience of going to a wrestling event. That's just me. All right. And I will say Albany kind of does embody the wrestling fan stereotype in a lot of ways that are good and bad. We're very passionate. And I think, again, we're very loud and there were some good parts to it. But boy, let's get into the specifics here. Not just my own takes. The merch stand, by the way, was, everybody always asks that. The merch stand there was a line constantly. I mean, there was a line even during big matches where I had to go to the bathroom, and there was a line during that. I mean, I can't imagine what the line looked like when there was a match that was much less profile, like Dragunov or whatever, or what the line looked like prior to the show starting. Oh my God. It was a long line. They must have made quite a bit of money on that merch, which is never, of course, where you want to buy the merch. You never buy the merch at the event. You're going to be paying like a 30% premium. But nonetheless, people are buying championship belts and, racking up the credit card debt. And it's like, whatever, man. Yeah, you do you, bro. All right. And that's coming from somebody who used to own several championship belts. I actually owned a Smoking Skull championship. That was like my prize, my pride and joy, rather. And I even owned an original WWF championship belt, one from the Attitude Era. Not Shawn Michaels. It was the one that transferred from the Winged Eagle to the one that Austin, was the first one to hold in 1998 after he beat Shawn at WrestleMania 14. So I had that one for a while. And the Intercontinental Championship. I've owned the Intercontinental Championship too, at one point or another. And the Universal, the Universal Championship I owned for a while. Then I sold that. So right now I'm not in possession actually of any championship belts, which kind of makes me want to buy a championship belt. Try to talk to my wife about that. Anyway, let's continue. Let's talk about the specifics about the show. So Rhea Ripley comes out, and the crowd was super hot for her. I mean, the crowd exploded for Rhea. Loved her. They were chanting for her even before the show went on the air. They were chanting for her. So when she was the first one to come out, I mean, yeah, of course, a lot of the women really resonate with her. It's certainly not just the dudes. A lot of the women really love Rhea in a big way. I mean, she's a force in person. If you've been to a wrestling event, you've heard Rhea's reactions. Maybe you felt the same way. So she got a monster reaction when she first came out with Io Sky, and they said they thought they were untouchable since she's been out with a broken nose. And if you add Nia and Lash Legend to the mix, they think they have a large numbers advantage, but all they've ended up with is more enemies. Io said, making enemies always catches up to you, and shouted War Games, which is just stupid. Rhea then introduced two of her teammates, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. And first of all, I mean, again, the reaction was incredible for Rhea. Io, you couldn't really make out, and really this is another part of the experience that's changed at WWE, the events. By the way, here's a tip. If you buy your typical, and this is for Albany, I'm not sure how this goes in other arenas. Maybe this is unique to Albany, but I doubt it because of the structure change of the Titantron and everything. You know how he, since Triple H took over, he essentially got rid of the massive Titantron, and so they could fit more seating. Well, the typical section, which for us is section 120, that would be the perfect section you want to buy tickets for if you want to be on camera, is now pushed up a section because the ring is towards the ramp more. So if you bought tickets to section 120 thinking you're going to get perfect, television time, you are sadly mistaken. So you may want to check on that because since the whole setup has changed with Vince and the transition to Triple H and his, or WWE, it's not really Triple H, but WWE's vision of how the ramp and the Titantron should look, it allowed more seating, which at least in this case pushed the ring up, and you may want to reconsider your ticket purchases if you think it's the typical section you're buying that gets the best camera angles. So little tip there. But also the microphone throughout the night was hard to hear, and it wasn't necessarily because of crowd noise. They got loud at times, and it wasn't even because of Io Sky's accent, which is still difficult to understand at times as well. But even beyond that, excuse me, it was just the clarity and volume of the microphone was just not good through most of the night. You had to really pay attention. Even with Rhea Ripley, you heard it, but it's I feel like I shouldn't be struggling this much to understand what you're saying. And again, it wasn't just because of crowd noise. It was kind of a normal level of crowd noise. And you're like, what? I think I heard what she said. But with Io Sky, I was thinking to myself, forget it. I mean, I don't know what she's saying. up until the point when she said War Games, which everyone has to yell, and it's so stupid. It's so stupid. You know, you have William Regal screaming it. You have Rhea Ripley last week screaming it. You have Io the Sky this week screaming it. And I don't know why we need to do this. I don't know if it's like an inside joke. They think it's funny or something. It's not. But here's where things get interesting, because Alexa gets on the mic and said the Kabuki Warriors, Nia and Lash, started it, but they would finish it. They said the second they said War Games, she knew they were in. Charlotte told Rhea, this is where things turned, that she couldn't pretend anymore. She told Rhea she doesn't like her, doesn't trust her, and thinks she's a snake. Charlotte said there's too much history between them to look past it, and she told Alexa that if she wanted to do it, she could, but they'd have to count her out. Charlotte left the ring and headed back while everyone in the ring looked confused. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I like this actually. The crowd really, I mean, when you heard what she said, and we did, crowd was really disappointed in Charlotte, her walking away. But it's a good story. It's the right thing to do. Why? Because you don't want to disregard programs that had an impact on the women's division. I mean, you don't want to just all of a sudden have people just teaming up for what reason? And we're supposed to just forget our history. I like it. You know why I like it? Because it's logical, number one. It doesn't disregard everything that's ever happened, number two. And number three, it's a story to tell to have Charlotte, yes, eventually join the team. She will eventually join the team, and she will do it by Survivor Series. You know it'll happen, but it's a fun story to have her tell. And could it result in Charlotte actually turning heel? I hope not. I don't want her turning. She has made so much progress as a babyface. It's almost hard to fathom, even just a couple of years ago, when you thought, you know, something like this couldn't happen. And I hope they don't actually turn her. I don't think they will. She'll see the light. She'll come to the aid of her team. It's just a fun story to tell. And again, logical. So we all know that move WWE made off of cable television onto Netflix for Monday Night Raw and now to ESPN for PLEs. Well, you can unlock more content without having to pay for multiple subscriptions. How, you may ask? Well, remember that little piece of advice Stephanie McMahon inadvertently gave to the WWE fans? It's called a VPN. If you're not sure what that is, it's a virtual private network. What will this do for you? Well, it can help you unlock access to the content library of a different region. For example, some United States-based fans use a VPN to access the more comprehensive library that's on the Netflix UK to avoid paying the multiple services, like I said, for Peacock and ESPN. So what service specifically we're talking about here? That's Surfshark, today's sponsor of this episode, Surfshark VPN. So the VPN, the virtual private network, means you can change your virtual location with just a few clicks. It masks your true IP address. It makes you appear that you're anywhere in the world. And for example, you can set it to Canada and boom, you unlock the Canadian Netflix library, which includes all of that awesome WWE programming, commercial free, I might add. And while you're there, you can also check out other shows exclusive to Canadian Netflix. So kind of a win-win. And of course, all of the classic benefits of a VPN that are there at your disposal too, meaning enhanced security while surfing the web, data privacy, fewer pop-ups, and even some of Surfshark's specific services, such as Surfshark Alert and Surfshark Antivirus. Even better, you guys can try Surfshark risk-free thanks to their 30-day money-back guarantee. And here's the best deal. Go to surfshark.com/WWEpod and you'll get 4 months extra when you sign up for a 2-year plan and enter the code WWEpod. Again, that's surfshark.com/WWEpod to get an extra 4 months on a 2-year plan. No need to write it down. My link and code are in the show description. And by using my code, of course, you do help support this podcast. A huge thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring today's episode. All right, so let's continue here. And we had Jey Uso on the concourse. He makes his usual entrance through the crowd. And I will say, just from an in-person perspective, there is no hate for Jey Uso in person. The hate for him still all lives online. It has not translated in person. I did not see a single person booing Jey Uso. man, woman, or child. There was no human being in that arena that I saw, anyway, that was booing Jey. They were all doing the yeet, the arm sway, all of it was happening. My son even got into it. For the first time he saw Jey Uso, he was having a blast doing that. That was by far his favorite moment of the night, was being able to do the yeet thing with Jey Uso. My voice is almost back, not quite, by the way, as you can tell. But that was a very high energy entrance. He is, and I see why people say, is he all an entrance? No, but a lot of his energy is in the entrance. He can't deliver on the mic at a consistent level. We've seen that. That's just true. He has been decent in the ring as a wrestler on a singles level. As a tag team, we all know what he is as a legendary tag team with his brother. But he's had some sloppy moments, not so great moments, but I think he's done a good to very good job, I should say, actually, that as a singles wrestler. Better as a tag team, yes. But is he all just an entrance? I'd say he's like 60% of an entrance. Like, that's, for me, kind of where I'd put him. Very high energy, a great babyface entrance, gets the kids really into it. I mean, every kid that I saw was into this in a big way. Even the adults, obviously, big into it. I mean, he just like picked up the entire arena. I mean, he did. He commanded the attention of everybody. So there's no doubt. I mean, his entrance it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. So, all right. So the match here with The Miz lasted 10 minutes. With Jey Uso beating The Miz after he hit a spear, which was it was a kind of a sloppy finish in a way, because The Miz got hung up on the top rope. He fell awkwardly, and then Jey hit a spear and a top rope splash and got the victory. The match was fine. I mean, again, the match, it's a standard match. Like, you're not going to remember the match because it was all about just who won, right? Jey Uso wins. And people are starting to lose it already online, that when's the company going to realize Jay's not the guy? Hey, first of all, what the hell's The Miz done the last year? Where's he been? What's he done? Can anybody answer me anything of significance? No. The Miz has been a non-factor compared to what Jey Uso's done. Hell, Jey Uso in the last year has won the Rumble, beat Gunther at WrestleMania, and became world champion. Yeah, boy, other than that, geez. Despite it was a disaster, the company took it off him, didn't think it worked, but the crowd has stuck with him. So I don't know why people are up in arms. Also, even if Jey, and he's not, but even if he was slated to win this tournament, who cares? You don't win anything. You win a match with John Cena. Okay. You don't get anything else. So it's really, I'm sorry, it's not that big of a prize. And it was, I don't understand the outrage of Jey advancing in the tournament anyway. Of course he's going to. He's a much bigger name than The Miz is. He's accomplished, at least in the recent the 12 months, a lot more than The Miz. All right. We did get a kick out of the skull-crushing finale, which I didn't like because I just don't like kickouts of finishes in standard matches. But let's continue. We have a video clip of John Cena explaining his path to becoming a pro wrestler, and then Nick Aldis called security to his office. Heyman and Bronson Reed approached and reminded him that War Games contract allows him to recruit anyone from any brand, including SmackDown. And then Cody Rhodes comes in, and Heyman called him the Golden Goose. And it eventually leads to Cody, putting his title on the line against Bronson Reed later that night. Didn't think we were going to get a title match, but you know what that did immediately for me? If you have been watching wrestling, for a length of time, you kind of thought this maybe too. If LA Knight and his mystery opponent wasn't the main event, the expectations of that mystery opponent decrease drastically. Because the moment I heard Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship, the Undisputed Championship, against Bronson Reed, That was immediately, of course, the main event, and it should be. It's a championship match. That bumped back LA Knight and the mystery opponent, and that immediately took down whoever that was going to be by like 3 notches. So the idea of Chris Jericho going out the door, Edge was long gone at that point. And I'm just thinking, okay, yeah, it's probably Joe Hendry, like many of us did. But we all know who it was, and we'll get to that momentarily. So Ilya Dragunov versus Axiom was for the United States Championship. The match went 11 minutes and 32 seconds, with Dragunov beating Axiom after it was a Tornado Moscow headbutt and landed him for an H-bomb. There was a DDT, by the way, the backflip DDT. My God, that might have been the spot that made everybody suddenly wake up and say, "Oh my God, this is awesome." This is awesome chance. For you to earn a "this is awesome" chant these days, you just have to kind of do one cool move during your 11 minutes, and all of a sudden the whole match is awesome. Meanwhile, you get people sitting, no one's really reacting, or everyone's just sitting on their hands, and like the bar. To me, it's not a badge of honor anymore to get a "this is awesome" chant. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's been so watered down because what it takes to earn it has been drastically lowered. It used to mean something. You heard that chant, you're like, yeah, actually, this is awesome. Cool idea, guys. Now you just see a couple cool moves and you're like, yeah, this chant deserves, you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but we also brought back the what chants. I apologize on behalf of the city of Albany. We brought back the what chants. Yes, we did. I'm very disappointed in that. I was very, very angry, disappointed, because I haven't heard the what chants in so long, and I'm sure you heard them during the show, and good Lord, sorry. All right. We had R-Truth handing Nick Aldis his bingo balls backstage. The crowd loved to see R-Truth. And he agreed, and Chelsea Green, and there was like a little bit of a comedy segment, if you will, with Chelsea Green and her need to have a United States title celebration being canceled, and they're going to have it next week. All right. So Tommaso Ciampa attacks Axiom, by the way, but was quickly run off by Nathan Frazier, and then Sami Zayn comes out in street clothes. And I will say this, he didn't get a monster reaction from the crowd. I would say it was on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, Stone Cold Steve Austin making an appearance. I'd say Sami Zayn got like a 5. It was okay. It didn't, it probably is not encouraging for Sami. I mean, he had to kind of milk the crowd to get a reaction. That's not what you want. But they did react positively. They did react when he wanted us to, but it wasn't peak Sami Zayn. I don't know. Maybe my expectations about the crowd reaction for him are too high, but I don't know how it came across on camera. It was okay. It was okay. So let's see here. Oh, what was his comments? He said that he lived up to the promise of beating Solo Sikoa for the U.S. title. He did great things with the U.S. title, but the last 4 weeks have been extremely challenging because he hasn't been medically cleared. And he expressed regret at being forced to watch friends of his being attacked by Solo in the MFTs. And he had to watch week after week of being told, to do nothing, but that ends tonight. He called out Solo, and they want to sort out face to face. Solo comes out. This is where the what chance came back. God. So he called Sami a liar and desperate. He accused Sami of being selfish and only caring about himself. And he didn't give a damn about the people in the back or the audience. He only cares about, Solo said he only cares about his family, and he knows nothing of loyalty. He then said he better chill out before he comes to the ring to kick his ass. And Solo signaled to get the MFTs on the apron. And he said he'd wait till he's medically cleared. And he told him, guess what? I am medically cleared. So if he wants to do something, he should. And Shinsuke comes out, Rey Fenix comes out, Motor City Machine Guns come out, and a brawl broke out, and it ended up with the baby faces getting the better of them. And it's, as you know, it was a setup for a traditional 5-on-5 elimination style Survivor Series match that's going to take place the SmackDown, I believe, before Survivor Series. I'm a big fan of that. Except, I'm glad they're doing it. I wish it was at Survivor Series instead of this War Games that has taken over now, but neither here nor there. So, fine. All right. We then had, let's see here, LA Knight come out, and big reaction for LA Knight. Crowd loved him. He does have such an aura. His entrance is fun, simple, but easy to kind of relate to guy. He looks like he's genuinely like kind of like a nice guy. He does have, again, a fun entrance. The stuff is still over. And then you're waiting for his opponent. And as I said, my expectations were then taken down. No Chris Jericho. And Edge is gone. So I'm like, whatever. It's probably just what everyone thinks. It's Joe Hendry, which, no offense to Joe Hendry, but look, you wanted somebody you haven't seen in a while that has a big impact, a big star. And we get Zack Ryder. Yeah. Woo, I know it. But I know that Chelsea Green, they're married. I don't care. I don't care about Matt Cardona and NXT. I just go, are you kidding me? Like, this is the surprise? You waited and built this up for a week for this? Part of the reason I went is the potential that this could have been Chris Jericho or Edge. And I was sorely disappointed. I have never been a big Matt Cardona and or Zack Ryder fan. He looks like $1 million. He clearly just totally sacrifices himself to make sure he looks as good as possible, and he does. And credit to him. But I have never been a big Zack Ryder fan. I haven't. I nothing against him. He's just not interesting to me. Off of YouTube, him and Chelsea Green are married. Okay, cool. And what else again? And look, when you're doing this for the John Cena, the Last Time Is Now tournament, and you have a mystery opponent, you can't have it be Zack Ryder. Now they're building up Madison Square Garden for a much bigger one, a much bigger mystery opponent. Part of me wants to drive down to the city for a few hours and go to Madison Square Garden, although I don't want to pay the tolls, don't want to pay the $100 parking, pay for the $400 tickets, pay for the ride home, pay for food, it's like $1,000 probably, when all is said and done, just to go down to the dang city for a Madison Square Garden event. It's just, I'm not doing it. But I'm sure you guys down there, if you're down in the city, will get a much better mystery opponent than I did up here in Albany. That's where you might get your Jericho. You're in the biggest event. You're in the biggest venue in the world. You're in one of the most well-known venues in the world. You're in the biggest city in the world. You're going to get one of them. It could very well be Edge. It could very well be Chris Jericho. Or, you could have a low-level Joe Hendry. And I don't mean low-level in terms of disrespect, just in terms of just star power. Look, you just call it like it is. Joe Hendry's not a star yet on that level. You say Joe Hendry to a non-wrestling fan, they're going to say, who? But non-wrestling fans probably have heard of Edge or Chris Jericho, even if they don't follow wrestling at all. That's what I'm talking about. So, LA Knight and Zack Ryder here. The crowd reacted fairly well. I would say in person it came across fairly positive for Zack Ryder. Wasn't overwhelming. It didn't beat Rhea Ripley's pop, who I think might have gotten the pop of the night outside Cody. But it was certainly, it was positive. It was positive. But the match went 8.5 minutes with LA Knight beating Zack Ryder. And it's not a long-term signing. From what I understand, it was a one-off. So LA Knight wins after the BFT. Okay. We had then B-Fab and Jade Cargill. I was not here from the show this point on, though. My son was, I told you earlier, with his lack of sleep, he was fading as loud as it was. And he didn't expect it to be that loud with some pyro and things that were going off during people's entrances. I did not in person see B-Fab and Jade Cargill or the main event. Okay. So I only got like half my money's worth. But I mean, what am I going to do? I'm not going to have my son falling asleep, right? I mean, I'm just going to leave. It's what it is what you do. So from this point on, again, I watched this point on, but I did not see it in person. So B-Fab and Jade Cargill went 2 minutes and 18 seconds, a Jade Cargill special, but nobody expected this to be a long match. You know, number one, it's Jade Cargill. Number two, it's B-Fab. You know, and Jade is on a monster run right now of squash matches, and that's fine with it. I actually don't have a problem with that. If she just wants to come out and dominate her opponents, and that's her thing until somebody stands up to her, and it's kind of like, wait till you pick on someone your own size kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, Charlotte Flair could be that person. Certainly could be that person. Lash Legend eventually could be that person. Somebody of her size needs to step up to her. And there's not too many like her, I know, but at least somebody in her universe of size needs to stand up to her. And yeah, so the match went 2 minutes and Jade wins as expected. All right. Another video package did air of Zelina Vega and Aleister Black. They tormented Damian Priest, and they said they were moving on to become the enemy of anyone in the locker room that held a title. And in the arena, Cody Rhodes comes out. And the match was quick, as you know, for the WWE Championship. Went 5 minutes and 14 seconds, a no contest. Kind of a waste of a finish. And I know that this is a no contest. I understand that. I understand you can't have really either man lose clean to the one because Bronson Reed's on the ascent. Cody Rhodes is your champion. You're not going to have him pinned by Bronson Reed yet. And again, this was silly because you had, as Cody's clearing the announce desk, Logan Paul and Braun Breaker show up. So, like, they cost Bronson Reed the match. I don't know if that's going to be addressed at all. I don't know if anybody even thought of that. Like, hey, Bronson Reed is in the match of his career, in the match of his life, competing for the world's top wrestling championship, and you have guys on his own team come out and cause the disqualification or the no contest. Really? That was kind of weird. But Logan Paul and Braun Breaker show up. The Usos come out to make the save. They deliver super kicks. A 1D to Logan Paul, who sold it very well. Jimmy retrieved the table. Drew McIntyre shows up, knocks Jimmy off the top rope. Nick Aldis comes out and started bickering with Paul Heyman, who was talking about, you said anybody, which was funny. Braun then speared Jey through the table, and Logan hit Jimmy with that loaded punch. Cody tried to get involved, but McIntyre hit him with a Claymore, and then Reed hit a Tsunami. And McIntyre shook Paul Heyman's hand and joined War Games, the War Games team with the Vision. So that was, it was a good, I mean, look, it was a good show. I think it was a decent show for SmackDown, a disappointment for the mystery opponent, but decent wrestling, decent star power. Nothing that you're going to probably remember the rest of your life, of course, unless maybe it's your first time, like my son, but overall, a SmackDown worth going to if you like attending live events. I know I was a bit harsh at the beginning. I mean, I don't take any of it back. I still feel the same way. You know, leaving, I'm just like, it's going to take a lot to get me to come back here. Unless my son wants me to. It's going to take some big stars and big moments advertised to get me back here for a wrestling event. And that's me talking about my own city. Yes, I'm talking about my own city. So that's the thing. Like, if I was trashing another city, and it's just the clientele. It's not the passion. It's just the clientele and just the lack of just common sense that I think people have. But all right. So that was SmackDown. Now, a quick recap of Raw. Excuse me. We had John Cena's final appearance coming up, of course, Monday, but Dominic and John Cena competed for the Intercontinental title with, as we all know, John Cena won. I've gone over that, and you guys really hammered that on the mailbag and gave me your thoughts and wanted my take about where Dom goes and why this is a good or bad decision. So I'm not going to rehash that. But Rusev and Damian Priest in this this last time is now tournament round opening match. Rusev wins. We had, let's see here, some Vision and Logan Paul stuff, but match-wise, we had Stephanie Vaquer versus Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's World Championship, with Stephanie Vaquer beating Raquel in 11 minutes. We had Shinsuke Nakamura lose to Sheamus for a quarterfinals, or rather the last time is now tournament matchup, with Sheamus advancing to the quarterfinals. And we had the Kabuki Warriors winning the women's tag team titles on Raw. So there you have it. My voice is starting to go a little bit. It sounds a little bit better, but I can't use it for long periods of time, so I'm going to have to bow out. But I don't want you guys to think that like I look down upon people who attend wrestling events. I just want to close with that, because a lot of you do, and I'm not saying I'm better because I don't attend. You guys are all embarrassing. That's not my point. That's certainly not my point. I think also too, I love the convenience of my home. Having to go to a wrestling event, the older I get, the more I just want to be at home. Right. I don't want to, I'm not a people person either. Like, I don't want to see or talk to anyone. I could actually go the rest of my life outside of my family, like not seeing or hearing from anyone, and be fine. Like, I have no interest in seeing or hearing from anyone, but I also don't expect anything from anyone. See, that's the thing. I don't expect people to give me anything, because I don't want to have to, I've got enough going on. You know what I'm saying? I've got enough going on. I don't need to insert people into my life. So it's the fact that I don't really like people just on a base level that doesn't help. And then you add the fact that people are just common sense is gone, and you're cramped together in these small seats with powdered donuts and people tapping your chair, saying stupid things. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's late. You're just thinking about work tomorrow. You're tired. You're thinking about the ride home. And then, you just see some of the stuff that WWE does, and it's embarrassing. And, that's all. I'm not disparaging anyone who goes to wrestling events. I'm not better than anyone that goes to these events. That's not my point. It's just, I think I am kind of growing out of the need every time, or that kind of like itch every time that they come to my city to buy a ticket. It's no longer like a reflex for me. It's no longer like, oh my God, I got to get it. How do I win them? How do I buy them? Can I get it? That doesn't exist for me anymore. That's all. So I wanted to point that out, because if you guys attend it, again, a lot of listeners do, and good for you. I hope you have fun. I do, because I'll be here. I will be watching from my couch or my bed, which is probably where I watch most of my wrestling these days. And that's kind of where I enjoy it, unless something big happens. And hey, I'd still love to attend a WrestleMania. I'd be lying to you if I wouldn't want, if I got 1 tickets or whatever. Hell yeah, I'd go to WrestleMania. I've been to 2 so far. WrestleMania 20 and WrestleMania 33. So certainly I'd go to a WrestleMania. I'd go to one of the big 4 events. I'd love to. But that's the kind of level it's going to take, or some pre-advertised, John Cena is going to be there, or The Rock, or, like one of the old legends. That's the kind of thing I'd have to know is going to happen for me to be there. So, all right. Well, I've made my point. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day or night or whatever. And I'll be back on, what is it? What the heck's today? Oh, Tuesday. I'll be back for the Raw review, which I'm sure is going to be a very noteworthy Raw, with John Cena's final Raw appearance, his final match on Raw. We don't know who that is or what that is. He'll probably drop the belt to somebody there. And then we get to look forward to the rest of the tournament and the big mystery opponent, which I think is going to be a much bigger name than Zack Ryder, and look forward to War Games. So that's going to happen. And if you guys want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast, of course, is the way to go, or on Apple, or search the ad-free feed on Spotify. We're there as well. So thank you, everybody. Again, if you're looking to be a part of the team and you want to cover NXT or the After Dark show, email me, mailbag@wwepodcast.com. Thanks, everybody. Talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.